back to one of the episodes here at Five Star Realty Podcast. This is your host, Camila from MCN Marketing Firm. And today I have the honor and the pleasure to have Brandon Gaydorus, a founder of Warm Heart Life, speaker, and the best comedian you will ever meet. Welcome, Brandon.
Oh, well, thanks so much. It's funny, you hear those introductions and you look back in all the years and it's nice to hear, but at the same time, I was just on a car ride up here with my friend John and we're still talking about things that we're trying to figure out, solutions that we're trying to solve. And I remember I had a mentor when I was younger. He was 26, he was making over 200,000 a year.
My goodness.
And I said, and I was probably 22 at the time. I said, wow, it must be nice making that kind of money. And he says, Brandon, the funny thing is when you start making more money, you start to get more expensive habits.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And then
yeah.
you're like, oh, okay, I need to make more. And so it's funny. It's nice to hear those things, but there's so much that I'm still trying to figure out and so much that I'm still trying to accomplish. And it's been very cool to see the growth that you've had in the time that I've known you as well.
Thank you.
So I'm excited for this conversation today.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for making it all the way from Stanford. Um, it's it's more than an honor to have Brandon here because he is my mentor. He is also my public speaking coach. And I'm going to be getting tested here because normally he's the one listening to us. And now I'll get to interview you. So, the whole purpose of this podcast today, Brandon, is to tell us about your beginnings because just like you said right now, there is so much more work that we can continually do, right? When do we stop? We don't know. When do we reach limit? We don't know, right? But take us way back to your beginnings. How was your childhood? This man with blue eyes, as you see him right there, he got some Latino on him. And yeah, tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so I grew up in upstate New York, the Binghamton, New York area. It's about probably 3 hours from where we are now. And my childhood was pretty interesting because my dad actually switched careers when he would drop me off to pre-K. So they
Oh my God.
say they say a lot of the way that you look at life as you age is before 7 years old.
Okay,
And
yeah.
so as I look back into family history and memories with my relationship coach, it was interesting looking back at some of the things that stuck out to me. And when I was about 4 or 5 years old, my dad decided to just totally switch careers.
Wow.
He
What was
he
he doing?
Yeah, so he was in like kind of like the engineering type of field. I'm not sure exactly, but he worked for this company called NICEAG, and he was making more money when he was 22 than 29.
Oh my
and
God.
and he said he's like, man, I gotta switch careers.
What
And
age did he have you? Are you the
uh,
oldest one? Your siblings?
so he was probably about 31
You one.
when he
Okay.
had me,
Okay.
and probably about 29 when he had my sister. And so he had been thinking for quite some time, like maybe I should, maybe I should switch careers. And he was always interested in personal finance. He would invest in stocks. He would take the money that he would have and he would put it into different
Mm.
stocks. And so he turned to my mom when I was probably about 3 or 4, and he said, I'm going to switch careers. I'm going to go back to college and we're
Oh my
going to
God.
live off your salary for a year. But then after that, we're going to be good for the rest of our lives. And we're going to be able to take care of our kids. We're going to be able to fund the education. You're going to have a lot more freedom with the things that you want to do in life as well. And my mom looked at him like, you're going to do what? And he's like, trust me.
Already 2 kids in.
Yeah, 3 kids,
Oh my
because
goodness.
they had just had my brother,
Oh,
right? Yeah, so my brother is about 4 years younger, and so he made this decision, and my mom supported him. But I remember he would drop me off at daycare or pre-K, whatever it was, and then he would go to the classes, and that still to this day inspires me because that's one of my first
so beautiful.
memories as a child. And when you think about the move that he made, that like that masculine presence to be able to say, "Hey, we're gonna sacrifice some things, but we're gonna create a better future." And I look at how I look at life a lot right now. I was just talking to John in the car ride in. I've sacrificed a lot the last 4 years to be able to build a bucket list business. My previous career, I was in fitness, and I was voted top 50 in America in that, and like I could have been set the rest of my life in that career, but
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, but I saw where I could go in life and what that could lead to from a fulfillment perspective, and I attribute a lot of that to the move that my dad made when I was younger. So that's what it was kind of like in the very beginning days. And then my mom, she's from Puerto Rico. She's from Arecibo over there. It's kind of like on the top part of
Have you
Puerto
been?
Rico. Yeah, so we used to go there quite a bit up until kind of towards the end of my high school career because my grandmother lived there. And so when we would go to Puerto Rico, it was almost like I was going back in time like 15 years. Like there's the vacation part, like there's the
Mm-hmm.
San Juan, and it's like that part is beautiful. But then you go to like where my grandmother lived, and you would go to the beach, you would see stray dogs all over the place. You would see signs that have been there for probably 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And
It's a
that
lot
really
of
gave me,
history.
yeah, that really gave me perspective on how great we did have it where I grew up, because I didn't grow up in a town like Greenwich or Stamford or Hartford. I grew up in a town where there was one country club in a 30-mile radius. So it was not a very wealthy town. To give you some context, Greenwich, Connecticut, where I moved to when I was 22, they have, I think, about 8 country clubs in the town.
My God.
Yeah, and Stanford, I'm not sure how many where I live now. I'm not sure how many they have, but they got quite a bit, right? And so where I grew up, it wasn't a very wealthy place, but when I would go to like Arecibo, Puerto Rico, I started to see how much of an opportunity we did have to be able to go after things. And so that's kind of what life was like in the very beginning
It sounds
days.
beautiful. It sounds like you had the best of both, right? The Latino Hispanic culture, and you got to experience also the privilege that we all have to live in this beautiful country. So when you were in high school, how was those times? Were you the cool kid? Were you the quiet kid? And also preparing to college, do you already knew what you wanted to go to college for or no?
Wow, these are great questions. That's a great question right there. So in high school, I was very short. Like when I my
No
yeah,
way.
yeah,
You're super tall.
I know. So when I was in ninth grade, I didn't hit my growth spurt yet. So I was like very scrawny. I was like, I played high school golf, and if you look at the golf picture, it's like me and then like everybody like
Super tall.
and so yeah, like I was pretty shy. High school was interesting. I was a guy who I was friends with a lot of people, but I
Mhm.
never had like that one close group of friends or even a friend, right?
Yeah.
I was just kind of cool with everybody, but I never really had my spot. Like I could be friends with the soccer kids for lunch. I could be friends with the golf people like after school. And then I could be friends with people that we would go to like this place,
Why was that? Like,
during
was
the
it you didn't feel comfortable, or you just didn't truly click with the people, or why?
well, they say things are caught, not taught. And
Mm.
so when I look back at how I was raised, my parents instilled trust, they instilled loyalty. And one thing that I did not see a lot was I didn't see a lot of social life. So
Mm.
my parents were very much about the kids and making sure we were good. We didn't have a lot of babysitters growing up and stuff like that. Like my parents were, they were there a lot, right? They were there at a lot of games and stuff. But what I didn't see is I didn't see a lot of social life. like
Okay.
like besides family, I I didn't see them having a lot of friends.
Wow.
Nor do I think they wanted to, because they both had big families. There's four. 4 kids in my dad's family, and then my mom, there was 6,
Oh,
right? So, um, they were very family oriented. So I didn't see a lot of social life growing up.
mhm.
So I didn't really know what that was like. And so when I went to college, I said, I don't really care about the school. Like, to be honest with you, like school has always been kind of a joke to me.
Mhm.
Um, my dad said keep above a 3.0 because that means you keep your
Yeah.
scholarship. So I think I graduated college with a 3.1,
Good
like
job.
just enough to keep the
Yeah.
scholarship.
Yeah.
I went to college with one goal. My goal was to make as many friends as possible. Yeah,
Wow.
because I wanted to understand different areas of life. I wanted to meet people from different cultures. I wanted to meet people from different states who had different childhoods. Some very healthy, some not. Like I wanted to meet a lot of people in college. That was my goal. And so when I went to college, I just started getting invited to parties. I started getting invited to different meetings, different
Mhm.
organizations. I remember I even took a hot romance class in college, and
What were you looking there,
yeah, yeah.
huh?
And you just like you would meet all these different people, you would hear all these different stories, and then I would do internships every year in college in totally different cities where I would know next to nobody, and I
Mm.
would be forced to meet different people, and every year I would have like a family or some sort of a friend that would kind of take me under their wing. And it was almost like I started to see what different families were like by going to these different
Oh,
places.
beautiful.
And so it was cool to kind of experience different things. Like one summer, I lived with a family for like 2 weeks before I could find a place. It was a friend from college, and I just getting to see how they interacted with each other was interesting, because it was totally different than the way
Mhm.
that I grew up. So my parents instilled a lot of good in me, and that the thing I was most curious about was relationships. I was so curious about friendships, business partnerships, getting someone to actually want to talk to you. Like you go into a room and someone actually wants to have a
Mhm.
conversation with you. So I was so curious to learn about a lot of those things, and that's kind of what my college experience was like.
But look at this, people. Coming from being shy, still having a big family, but not having those traits of being too social. And now you have the biggest community I ever have experienced with Warm Heart Life. So when you were in college, do you knew what you were going for?
So when I was in high school, the one thing I really enjoyed was playing golf. Like I just
Right, sport.
when I played golf, there was a place that like I actually thought I fit in. I talked about how I was kind of like cool with like a lot of the different groups, like the rappers, the soccer players, the singers. Like it didn't matter. Like I knew a lot of people, but it's not like I was like close
Mm-hmm.
with them. And but golf, that was the place. Like I worked at the golf course. I played in tournaments throughout the summer. That was a place where like I thought I fit in. And so there was a guy 2 years older than me, and he's like, "Oh, I did this golf program." And so I was like, "Okay, well, maybe I should go into that."
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked at 3 colleges with the golf program, a 4th that wasn't accredited, so that was kinda out of the question. I applied to one, the one he went to
Mm-hmm.
school, and I got accepted, and that
Oh
was
my
yeah.
God.
So and then I stayed with that major all 4 years, so I went for golf management. So a business degree, and then the minor was in golf management. And so I went to school for that. I stuck with that, but I enjoyed the fitness side a lot more. And so when I committed to that, I had met a
Oh.
physical therapist who started to show me how this could help your golf game. And I fell in love with that side of things, but I just didn't know how you go to school for that. So I went to school for the business side of golf, and then eventually I started shifting towards the fitness side while still keeping that. And then I actually ended up getting my master's in exercise science
Wow.
while I was working after college.
So when do you decided to get more into public speaking and being a business and speaker coach?
So when I was 22, I went to Greenwich, Connecticut to work at this gym because I wanted to keep my golf pro
Mm-hmm.
certification. And I had to find a place with an indoor golf facility, but I wanted to personal train.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found a place in Greenwich, Connecticut where there was an indoor golf facility that had a big gym that would let me do personal training. And so the training director was making $275 an hour.
Wow.
And this is like 2016. So that's a lot of money for a trainer now, but back then that was a lot of money. And I said, "What do you know? What are you doing that I'm not doing?" And she said, "Well, Brandon, I took this speaker school and I hired that person as a business coach." And
Wow.
yeah, and I'm not sure what the price of the speaker school was back then, maybe like 1500. And so it was an investment. I was 22, maybe 23 at the time. That was a lot of money for me. So I kind of held off on it a couple years, but I would go to his business
Mm-hmm.
conferences that were like a little bit lower of a cost. And so when I was 25 years old, I took his speaker school. I made the investment. I traveled to Providence, Rhode Island, which is where it was, and I went through this 3-day speaker school. And at the time, I had said this is probably the most valuable thing I had
Ever
ever
done.
invested in my life. Meanwhile, college probably costs
Oh
$100,000,
yeah.
right? And I was like, this is probably the most valuable thing I had ever invested in my entire life. And the reason was because I saw a guy who had been doing this for 40 plus years, who had
Mm-hmm.
spoke all around the world. I had seen where you could go with it by taking this speaker school. And
Mm.
so I knew nobody was gonna hire me at the time. Like, I just embarrassed myself for 3 days. You know what it's like going up
Oh
there.
yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
thoughts are going through your head. It's like, "I can't believe my cheeks are so red. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I bumbled my words." Like, all these thoughts are going through your head, and
You probably enjoy seeing us all in stage and being all.
yeah, because I know what it's like. I mean, I know what it's like when you go up there and all you wanna do is sit down, look at your notepad or look at your phone and just not be looked at, not be talked to, not be thought of. And then,
And here you have Brandon. Go in, your
yeah,
turn.
yeah, like, I know what that's like. And then all of a sudden you get called back up and it's like you have to figure out how to say something. And then when you get called back up, you take the feedback and you say it better and you're like, "Okay, I could see how I'm growing."
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I wasn't going to get hired right then. So I said to my mentor, I said at that very end, he huddled everybody around. I said, "Why do most people not get what they want in life?"
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Most people won't get what they want. Most people don't get what they want. Most people will lay in bed at the end of their life with the look of regret on their face because they don't go after what they want fast enough."
Thank God. That
Yeah.
hit you in the face.
Yeah. And I said, "That's not going to be me." So I had to figure out like what can I do to just get started? So many people just want all the success. And I knew that I needed to just get started. I knew it wasn't going to happen right away. So I said, let me start consistently posting on social media, but let me focus on consistency and getting better instead of likes and views.
One of your posts is his grandparents, and you reposted that a couple weeks ago, a couple of days ago. I freaking love that. And I love how you just took your natural market, your family. He started up with his family to be able to do this reels and speaking engagements on social media. Go ahead. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Well, yeah, when I got started, I was too embarrassed to post on my personal page. So
Is this because the shy side of you was kicking in?
well, I also had another career that I was very successful in.
Right.
So the golf fitness world, that I was becoming the guy at that time,
Mm-hmm.
right? I wasn't. It probably took like 2 years later before all of a sudden like things blew up in that field. But I
Mhm.
was locally, I was kind of becoming the guy in that field. And part of me was like, okay, I'm just going to start sharing personal development messages on here, because that's what I wasn't passionate about talking about golf fitness. Like I put a book out on that. Like I was
Was that your
passionate.
first book?
Hmm.
He's an author of 5 books. Wow, okay. It's
Yeah.
getting interested. Go ahead.
So what I was passionate about was helping other people understand that it's possible to achieve success if you can learn from the other people who have done it.
Absolutely.
And so I wanted other people to feel what that felt like so we could grow together instead of just me having this success.
Mhm.
And so I said, I'm going to start the Warm Heart Life Instagram and I'm going to focus on 4 posts a week. And I want them to be mostly video because I want people to actually get to know me and I want to work on
Mhm.
this public speaking thing. So I used social media to get started with getting my message out there after the speaker school,
What year was this?
2018.
2018. Okay.
And I said, I'm going to make 4 posts a week and I'm just going to keep that going. I'm not going to have a stop time. I'm just going to keep that going. If you go back almost 7 years now, I would be shocked if you find 1 week where there's not at least 4 posts on the Warm
Wow.
Heart
So
Life
you were
Instagram
super
page.
determined. Super determined.
Yeah. And so what that did is it forced me to get in front of the camera every week
Mhm.
because I knew I had to get these 4 posts out. And what would happen is I would start interviewing random people. Like I would start interviewing random personal training friends of mine. I would start interviewing my buddy Rob Trazy. I said, "Hey, do you want to do an interview?" He's like, "Oh yeah, sure." And so we go to the gym. We go to the gym that I train people at, and there was a closet area. I was like, "Oh, there's a light in here. This could be like a good area
Wow.
to film." And so we go into this closet area with a light, and it's hot in there. So we're like sweating, and then we have to figure out where to put the phone.
Oh
so
my
so we
God.
put the phone on the bookshelf. Half the cameras like cut off from like the bookshelf. And we don't know where to look into the camera. And of course, even though there was a light in there, the lighting was absolutely awful. So we're like, we have this like bulb of a light shining on us, and then it's just dark all around. Like it was so bad, but like what that did is it forced me to start learning about lighting. It forced me to start
Mm.
learning about audio. It forced me to start learning. I know this sounds so simple. It forced me to start learning about tripods, right? Like I didn't even know what a tripod was when I started
So
filming.
important to have. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you see it all the time. You're in marketing, you're helping people build their brands, and so many people are like, "Oh, I need the high-tech camera, I need the high-tech microphone, I need the best lighting in the world." And it's like, yeah, you do need that, but you also need to prepare yourself for when you're in opportunities like this and you have one of the beautiful, beautiful setups that this is probably one of the most beautiful setups, if not the best setup that I've ever seen.
Wow.
Right. But
Thank
what a lot of people don't know is the stories that I'm sharing with you. I shared a lot of these stories when I had a bad camera, when I had bad audio, when I had bad lighting, because I knew I needed to just get started. And so many people are afraid to just get started that when they do have the opportunities to film in an incredible studio like Five Stars has right here with a great interviewer like
you.
you,
Thank you.
they're not ready because they're too scared to just get
Right.
started. And
Right.
that's why I love what you do. You force people to get on camera. You force people to say, "Hey, we're filming today. Whether you have a good hair day, whether you have a good makeup day or not, we are getting this out there
Oh yeah.
because you have a message that is worth spreading." And so that's how things got started in the beginning of the public speaking days. But then I
Wow.
hired the guy who taught the speaker school as a business coach. And it
Oh.
was accidentally. A month later, I attended his business seminar, which they would go to Stamford, Connecticut every year at that time. And I wasn't even sure if he remembered me or not.
And I wanted to ask you, was he one of your mentors? Because you do mention a mentor a lot.
Yeah. So he was my main mentor throughout my 20s.
Wow.
Yeah. And he comes up to me at lunchtime, kind of like taps me on the shoulder. He's like, "Hey, shoot me a call sometime. I can help you.
Mm. Wow.
And this is a guy who's in his upper 60s. He didn't need the money. He didn't need to go out of his way to say, hey, I can help you.
But he saw that in you.
He saw something in me that I couldn't even see.
Wow.
And so he goes, just trust me. I will cut you a deal. Just trust me on this. Because he was like $400 an hour.
Oof.
And so I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to book a call with him. And so I book a call with him. He charged me $150 for an hour. And 7 years later, he still does not charge me more than that.
Oh my
and
God.
and I realized he genuinely wanted to help me. And so I invested in him, but he also invested in me. I know he wasn't making what he could make in that hour
Mm.
off of me, but he saw something in me that I don't even think I could see. And what happened is because I took the speaker school, I had a foundation of knowledge, both with communicating a message, but also with how he looked at business.
Mhm.
Because his main career was a business coach. He just started teaching public speaking because he would speak at all these events and he would get so frustrated that people didn't know how to speak on stage
Yeah. Or dress,
or
which is
dress.
something I learned with you is
Yeah,
like, hey, be solid with the colors, know how the combinations, don't wear distracting jewelry, accessories, and something so simple like that, it can change your whole presentation.
100%. So I started learning from him on a more of a monthly basis. And it took me about 3 years to really understood what he meant by this thing called an emotional bridge.
Oh.
So in speaking, there's this thing called an emotional bridge. And that's where you take people on this ride where they're like this. And they just want to keep hearing more and more. You think about the best movies that have ever been
Mm-hmm.
watched, right? Hour and a half, 2 hours even, but you're like this the
Yeah.
whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you like that? Because they're taking you on that emotional bridge. They're taking you on that journey. They have you glued into everything. And in public speaking, you have to be able to do that in a 30-second version, a minute version, or my main keynote is 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Ooh.
So to be able to keep people's attention for 2 hours and 20 minutes, every little detail has to be dialed in. And so it took me about 3 years to really understand what he meant by that emotional bridge. And that's why when people retake speaker schools, when they do one on one coaching with me, I'm like, hey, this is only going to add to the acceleration that it takes to be able to understand these concepts
Mm.
because it takes a lot of implementation and constant reinforcement to be able to understand the little details of how do you get people's attention? How do you make sure that you address the problem in a way that gets them wanting to keep listening?
Mm-hmm.
And then how do you make sure you add credibility in there that makes them say, okay, what that person's saying, he's spot on there. What she's saying, she's spot on there. And then if you can do that, then you start to set them up for the solution and then whatever you want them to do after, whatever action you want them to take. But most people try and provide the solution and what
Oh, yeah.
happens is there's no relatability. So I could go on here and say, oh, if you want to get great results, reach out to the people who have what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Or I could tell a story about how when I was 20 years old, I used to be the guy that would attend these classes and I would put my forehead on my forearm right there and I would look like I was sleeping. I wasn't actually sleeping. I would look like I was because I was sending a message to the teacher that I was so frustrated with learning material that was not applicable to what I thought I needed in the real world
Mm-hmm.
to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sending a message to these teachers. And then one day, this guy comes into our school and he was a guest speaker. He was
Okay.
a guest speaker. This was a mandatory seminar at night. This was the last place I wanted to be at night. You know, at times in the college days, Wednesdays were the best place to
Party.
just party. Like Wednesdays were better parties than Fridays.
I remember.
Yeah, yeah. And so this was on a Wednesday, and it was the last place I wanted to be. But we were forced to go there, so I go in there. Of course, as normal, I'm just like, just trying to like get through this. And this guy starts talking about how he wanted to be the best in the world at what he did, and he was probably in his mid 60s. So I started listening in when he started talking about that. And he said, all I did to become the best was I wrote down the top 10 people in the world. who were the best at what I wanted to be the best at. And then I
Hmm.
focused on learning, observing, shadowing, studying, and meeting those 10
So
people.
this is when you always recommend us, the students, to study the greater minds.
Study the greats. Yeah. Getting
Ah.
inside the mind of the greats. Yeah. So I wrote down my top 10 list, 20 years old. I was so motivated after hearing this guy tell story after story after story about how he met this person, this person, this person. And these are people at the top of the field, right? So I write down my top 10 list. 3 weeks later, I'm on the phone with the number three guy on my list. And he told me every single thing I needed to do to be successful in that career. And 6 years later, I get voted top 50 in America at 26 years old. And I was the youngest person on that list. After that, I
Wow.
kind of knew what that guy taught that day
Mm-hmm.
and everything I learned from my mentors in that 6 year period. I knew that this was something that I had to give back to others. And so when I started to learn the art of public speaking and get better and better at telling it, I said, I got to start helping other people. And so that's how I ended up starting the personal development conferences, which ended up leading to the speaker schools and has led to meeting incredible people like you, which now I get to witness the growth that you have on your community. And it's just incredible to see.
Thank you. But I just want to say I wouldn't feel this confident to be sitting here if I hadn't take at least one or two of his classes or been to this masterminds where they actually fuel you in with confidence. Because when you see other people also having a little struggle, you don't feel as bad. You're like, okay, I'm not the only one in all different ages. So this is why I really truly love the mission of Warm Heart Live and love the fact that you're sitting here and telling us about your beginnings because we all see you in stage now even doing comedy. And it's like coming from being a shy kid, not really socializing too much, to having this beautiful community that he's worked for 6 7 years now, right?
7, yeah.
Brandon, we're cutting it short here, but I would like you to tell the audience where they can find you. What are you coming up events that you're hosting, or even your comedian shows?
Yeah, so the best way to contact me is my phone number, 607-348-6136.
He's giving out his cell phone.
And then pretty much every social media is Brandon Gaydorus. So you can follow me, message me, whatever is easiest there.
And before we let you go, what's your legacy? What's the legacy you want to live um, before we're gone? Right? What's that one thing that you said before I die, before I leave this world? I will like this and that. And also, one quick advice to anybody who is not just trying to get into public speaking, but to be as determined. How can people get that determination of being like, I want to do this and go for it?
So with public speaking, the best advice I can give is to just get started. You may have a desire to do public speaking and then you get up on stage and try it and and you're like, "Oh, this is the last thing I wanna do," right? Or you might get up there and love it, but the best thing with public speaking is to just get started. I see so many people who say they wanna I just hosted a TEDx Stanford. Meet so many people say, "Oh, it's my dream to give a TEDx talk someday," and then they just never actually give a talk, and then what happens? You wanna give a TEDx talk and then you're not ready. You don't understand what it's like to put together a speech. You don't understand what it's like to look at eyes while you're actually speaking. And all of a sudden you're getting up there on stage and your heart's beating like crazy. Your mind's saying, "Hey, just there's a door over there,
Leave.
just leave." Right? So the best thing to do is just get started. If you can get started, then you can continue to progress. I asked my favorite comedian, I said, "How long does it take to make it in comedy?" He said, "I've never looked at it in terms of time period." He said, "When I started, I put a board together and said, I'm going to get to 1,000 shows and then make a decision if I keep going or not.
Wow, 1,000
A
shows.
thousand shows. So 1,000 times performing comedy before he decided if he gave up or not. So he's selling out theaters now. So it's safe to say
Good.
it worked out, right? So for me, I actually counted my comedy shows up to that point. I got to 39.
Okay.
And I realized that I can't believe how much better I got from 39 times. Imagine what it would be like at 78, 156, 300, 700, 1,000. And with public speaking, I'm probably between 3 to 500. So I can't even imagine where I would be at 1,000. So my best advice is to just get started because you're not going to be good off of one time or 15 times. We had a guy at the last speaker school. He's like, "Man, that really hit me when you said that because I counted my speaking engagements and I was at 16." So, I got some work to do if I want to get to your level. I got some
Yeah.
work to do if I want to get to the level I'm trying to get to. I'm like, "Good.
I just can't wait to get back on my speaking classes because I need it. I
Yeah.
want it. I want to continue. I don't feel completely ready. So your advice is just do it, just get started, and your legacy.
Yeah, and then as far as legacy, I asked my mentor once. I said, how do you find your purpose in life? He's like, I'm so sick of people asking me that. He said, you got one purpose on this earth, and that's to leave this world better than when you got here.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I've been trying to do, and I've been telling people this whole Charlie Kirk thing happened over this last month, and I said, if you were to die tomorrow, would you be happy with what you left behind today?
Hmm.
And I had a speaking engagement at a brunch this weekend, and I asked them that, and a lot of people said they wouldn't be,
No.
and me, I would be because for the last 7 years, I put my message out in books and in videos. Where now, if I were to pass away today, my life would still be able to live on for years and years and years because of what I left behind. Now, I hope I keep living a lot longer because
Lot more.
I got a lot left to do, but I would be very happy with what I left behind because I've consistently put my message out there for the last 7 years. And I really like my one thing that I'm trying to leave behind is that because of my presence on this earth, this world has became a better place. Whether it's this much or this much, whatever it is, that's what I want to leave behind. And I hope others want to leave that
Beautiful.
behind as well.
Wow. Thank you. That's beautiful. Here you have it, peeps. Brandon Gaydorus, founder of Warm Her Life. Brandon, thank you so much once again for making it all the way here. Thank you for taking the time to sharing your story, your beginnings. And we hope you enjoyed this episode with us. You want to give a quick shout out to somebody?
Yeah, Five Stars Realty. Thank you so much for having us today. What an incredible place. I mean, if you do not check this out and you're a content creator, you're missing out on what greatness looks like.
Thank you so much, Brandon. You make sure you like, comment, and share if you love this episode. And how could you not having this handsome guy here? Until next time, bye bye.